Welcome once again, folks. This is Cat's Pajamas.
And this is HD.
And we are back for game number 2 of this best-of-5 set between MillTarson spawning as our red Terran player here at the 9 o'clock position on Terminus. His opponent, down 1-0 is EGLzGamer, spawning as our yellow Terran player here at the 12 o'clock position.
It's hard to say it. LZGamer. Just say Lazy Gamer.
Lazy Gamer?
Yeah, Lazy Gamer. I think he hates it when you call him that. But, yeah.
Well, and guys, yeah, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is pre-LZ Gamer switching over, or sorry, Lazy Gamer switching over to Zerg. So he is still playing Terran at this point in time. We are here on Terminus, very large macro-oriented map. And don't forget, guys, whoever wins this set, this is round of 16, does qualify for IPL Season 2.
That is absolutely correct. And so far, Tarson is up 1-0 in this series. It's interesting you mentioned that LZ Gamer has switched over from Terran to Zerg recently. Being that the metagame right now, a lot of players, I think a lot of pro gamers and a lot of players in general agree that Terran is probably the strongest race, having the last GSL finals featuring 2 top Terrans. So it's interesting that LZ Gamer would opt to switch from Terran to Zerg. Obviously, I'm a Zerg player, so I might be a little biased. I'm like, who wants to switch to Zerg? They're horrible. No, but honestly, I feel like StarCraft 2 has balanced this game out so well. I mean, I like to joke around about IMDA and stuff, but I really do think StarCraft 2 is super, super balanced, and it's a great game in general.
And I think we were talking yesterday during the Destiny versus Starlight set that we casted. That Destiny
totally messed up on.
Yeah, well, yes, we thought it was going to be a best of 3 because that qualifier was unique.
We're sorry, we're not robots. We're not perfect.
But but we saw a really good Infestor play out of him, and I think that people in general are underutilizing Infestors, but starting to finally find their uses. And I think that Zerg, I'm not saying they're going to be overpowered. I'm not good enough to make those claims. I would never say something like that. But I think that Zerg is going to become very powerful once those Infestor builds start to get a little more well-developed.
That's the thing about StarCraft 2 as well, is I feel that Terran is probably the most developed race in terms of exploring like different strategies and different executions of those strategies. Protoss and Zerg, I still feel like need a little bit more practice, so to say, for players, because a lot of Protoss players aren't utilizing War Prisms, except for Whiterra. Of course, I know you're a big Whiterra fan.
It is true, yes.
Yeah, Protoss play is still can definitely use a little bit more innovation, but Zerg in general has a lot of different routes you can go with, and Infestor is largely an unexplored unit, and you're right. Once a Zerg player really is able to reach their maximum potential, so to say, it's a very, very good race, but it is hard to get up there. So you make a good point, Cats.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the future holds for all races, especially in light of the fact that Heart of the Swarm is right around the corner as well, and who knows what changes that's going to bring.
Tell me, we were talking about nightmares and dreams in the last match. What is your dream? What is your fantasy unit in Heart of the Swarm? What do you want to see?
Is it too campy for me to say Lurkers?
I would have said Lurkers too, man.
There we go.
Scourge, Lurkers. Yeah. Vultures, Spider Mines. Oh yeah, you have nightmares about that, so maybe not Spider Mines.
And we do have, well, in addition to what may be picking up on the mic, and not actually sure, apparently there's an emergency immediately outside of our window right now as we're casting, as several emergency vehicles go by. Hope no one is hurt, but we are looking at exactly what we saw in the last game so far. Tarson decided to open with a Reaper. He actually managed to get, I believe, 2 out. Yes, he did. LZ Gamer went right with a reactored barracks opening, and he actually did a good job of holding off the first initial push in the last game with Reapers. He mitigated a lot of the damage. He just fell to that Blue Flame Hellion drop. So we'll see what he can do now. Tarson gets in. He is going to pick off 1 Marine. The other Marines are sitting back down at the bottom. These Reapers are going to try and do what damage they can. Oh, nice micro there by Tarson, but he is going to have to get away. Oh, and manages to save his Reapers.
I think he managed to save every unit. Oh, the SCV just went down at the front ramp. Poor little guy. It got sent in. He's like, I don't have a jetpack, guys. I have to go by my... Actually, they do have a jetpack. Now that I think about it. They're just not, I guess they don't get the good fuel or something, because they don't actually get to jump. They just kind of levitate
just, like,
above the ground.
Pushes them around, yeah.
That kind of sucks. They're like a Reaper that got nerfed, or just like a Reaper that was born into life and was forced to be a measly SCV. Kind of sucks.
We do have orbital commands finishing up for both players now. Tarson's going to sit that over at his natural. LZ Gamer's once again going to play that very high saturation game where he just abuses the mules from another orbital command to get out a huge force, and then he attacks behind his actually moving the orbital command down to his natural. There's the scan that goes down. It already sees, oh, look at that. It sees the reactor taking a factory, so he knows LZ Gamer's going right back into Blue Flame Hellions again, and he himself is researching pushing Blue Flame Hellions. So we are seeing largely a repeat of last game.
Yeah, the only difference here is that on this map, I think it's a little bit easier to defend against a Blue Flame Hellion drop simply because your main is not nearly as big. Oh, thanks for the zoom in on the Automaton 2000. You can't miss that, man. You know, sometimes when I'm building my natural and that automaton's walking around my natural, I'm like, oh god, is it gonna block my natural? It never has actually done that. I don't think it can. That would be kind of weird. But a little bit of an interesting side note there. Oh, Blue Flame Hellions coming in for EGLzGamer. Roasts up the Reaper there. The automaton was spared its life, though, and another Reaper goes down. Map control now yielding over to EGLzGamer.
Absolutely. And he's not really going to be able to push his way in without any sort of an air support. I'm curious to see what he ends up doing here. He is going to have a hard time going right through the bunker. He may be able to do a run by, but there's a bunch of Blue Flame Hellions that are waiting for him if he decides to just run by. And his Blue Flame was actually not finished yet. It's only got 4. Okay, it'll be finished by the time he decides to push in again. But at the same time, Tarson's going to float over the Viking and check out this air cover, and he's not going to see that much there.
Yeah, he's just clearing the lanes right now for a potential dropship. On top of that, getting early Vikings out is always key in Terran versus Terran if you end up playing into a mid game because air control is so important. It looks like he's going to land the little Viking down, though. And the Vikings Gatling gun, believe it or not, is pretty good against SCVs. It can kill them in about 3 or 4 shots. Gets 1 kill here. Actually denies the missile turret, so now he's free to lift off and run away if he pleases, and he should probably do that right about now. Oh! Whoa! Whoa! Lucky little guy right there. Got out just in time.
Absolutely. He makes his way away. He'll get a nice, sweet repair here. Oh, no! There's a Viking.
The barracks just covered for it.
I know. It was on a click, and it managed to find a barracks before it found this Viking. So it does get saved. It'll get a nice repair
by a barracks. You know, you have bodyguards walking around and they'll jump in front of bullets for you. The barracks jumped in front of the Viking for the Viking.
I wonder who drew the short straw of barracks captaining duty for the day. But EGLzGamer, he is going to have, well, he's just sitting here with these Hellions. He doesn't look like he's going to make a big run by or anything along those lines. Unfortunately, this barracks might go down.
Oh, no.
Tarson's going to have to bring that back. He goes, believe it or not, it's actually pretty important for that structure. It can do its scouting, but at some point it's got to survive or another one's got to go down if he ever wants to build another factory or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. He has 3 factories right now, so definitely his factory count is looking really healthy, but you're right, in the later parts of this game, he doesn't want to lose that barracks simply because it can scout and he needs it for more factories. And is he going to let it burn, Cats?
I think he is. Hold on.
Yeah.
This is Barracks Watch 2011. Here we go. Barracks down to 30 points of health. I don't think he's going to do anything. We'll talk about that later.
There's something a little more important going on here.
Hellions coming in. They are going to be driven off by the Sea Shank, and unfortunately...
Oh, at least all of its parts made it on the platforms. None of them fell off into deep space.
And Tarson's going to get a scout over here, and what is he going to see? But another base coming up. EGLzGamer going to a third. Both players are relatively even on supply. Taking a look at workers, Tarson actually has a pretty good economic lead, but of course EGLzGamer will be able to catch up very, very quickly because of his much faster third base.
Now, you guys might be wondering, why is Tarson not landing the Vikings here that he's got kind of floating around? Oh, we do have some Blue Flames Hellion coming in, so hold that thought. Gonna come in here and kill off a couple of SCVs. Once again, these Blue Flame Hellion drops doing serious damage. It looks like the dropship there, did it pick up SCVs? So smart by LZ. That's great micro and awareness, saving a good number of those SCVs by just loading them up in the air. And the point I was trying to make is the reason why Tarson isn't landing the Vikings in Terran versus Terran, landing Vikings can be very, very dangerous, because if you land them and other Vikings float ahead of you, then you're screwed. You cannot lift them up. It looks like LZ's going to lose several Hellions though at the front door, and don't know why he lost all of those. And Tarson going to go ahead and go for another drop.
Yep, that's not going to work out all that well for him. His drops actually haven't been too successful. He did kill 7 SCVs with the first drop that came through before, but maybe not enough to equalize the cost of all those Blue Flame Hellions, and he gets the second one cleaned up. What he has done very well, though, is break this mini contain that EGLzGamer had going on with Blue Flame Hellions. And he obliterates that force and puts himself at a very good supply advantage. And he is still up in workers overall, though EGLzGamer is going to come back in for another drop.
Wow.
And all of these SCVs are lined up if he gets that one good. Oh! Does manage to take out a lot of units.
Oh! Waiting there for the good old Hadouken. Didn't quite get it, though. He got about 4 or 5 SCVs, so he definitely did some work right there. If we check the income tabs, we see that both players are about even. EGLzGamer just has a smaller advantage in economy, but he is down in supply. Tarson with a bigger army in the middle of the map, he retains map control, and I love how he's controlling and patrolling the airspace right now. It's preventing any more dropships from running in. He's also preventing any Vikings from flying in if they want as well. So Tarson all over it right now, and he should be able to make a pretty strong push across the center.
Yeah, absolutely. EGLzGamer has just not developed his Air Force in the sense of trying to control the skies. He has gone for high-tech Banshees instead to try and do damage rather than just patrol the air. Nice job here. Tarson does actually manage to take out this missile turret, and this is that sweet spot you want to go ahead and seize yourself up at. Oh, but he's got to watch out because these Banshees could pick apart his entire force. He has to turn around and go home. These Banshees will catch up and get some kills.
Yeah, Banshees are actually going to be able to push these tanks away. Let's see how many kills he can get. Any tank kills right now are going to be absolutely huge. He will be able to pick one off. Oh, gets it down, and he'll be able to pick a Viking as well. So good little counter push there by EGLzGamer. But in the meantime, we do have a Thor coming out for Tarson. So Tarson quickly attacking up to Thors, realizing that his opponent was going for Banshees, and Thors are very effective against Banshees. Looks like EGLzGamer will be pushed away in the skies once again as well.
Absolutely. Moving back now to his natural. Take a look at the supply. EGLzGamer is almost tied now with Tarson. The worker count, wow, both players are very, very even at the moment. So even in workers, even in bases, and even in economy. So this is going to develop into a pretty good match. EGLzGamer is trying to go to a fourth, putting up that command center, and we may start to see a transition into that more conventional kind of World War I siege tank trench line warfare coming out here.
Did they have tanks in World War I? I thought those were introduced in World War II.
They had very small, they had these rudimentary tanks that were just more used for like breaking trenches than anything else.
Oh, really?
So,
yeah. But they definitely didn't have artillery tanks.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they didn't have like the conventional big turret tanks. I'm sorry, folks. I had the intention of becoming a professor at one point, and so I studied military history in college. So, nonetheless,
they definitely, I'll tell you what, they definitely didn't have Thors in either World War I or World War II.
But they should. If I would rewrite history, that's what I would do, is I would put in Thors.
You would just build a Thor?
Yeah.
Just like a big walker unit?
If you saw Thor coming across, I'd just surrender.
Boom. I think if we gave the Germans like 10 more years, we might have seen some Thors on the battlefield. The Germans were really, really smart, man. They're super ingenious about their technology.
Yeah, almost to a fault though. They ended up producing way too much. No, we can actually draw World War II analogies into StarCraft terms. They concentrated too much on their tech and didn't worry about their macro.
You may be right about that. They also tried to attack two different sides at once. Although I don't think Tarson is going to make that mistake here because he's got his units all balled up in the center. It's kind of like the Alsace-Lorraine right here between the France and Germany. Although we have it, the poles a little mixed up as I guess you could say the West is the East, and I don't know. But we are going to have a pretty big tank-on-tank, mech-on-mech battle here in the middle of the field.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting because EGLzGamer is clearly going over to gigantic Air Force. And this is a ridiculous number of air units. He is going to have absolute control of the skies.
But those Thors are going to make that difference,
bingo.
So, man.
Yeah, we do have 3 Thors coming up at a time, and if these air units even clump up for a second, those multiple Thors are just going to rip through that Air Force of EGLzGamer.
Yeah, the rockets that come off the Thor's shoulders are definitely German engineered. They will demolish any air unit in the sky that has clumped together. Very good pointing that out. So EGLzGamer has to be very careful here. He doesn't want to clump his units up. At the same time, he wants to pick his engages wisely. You know what? I would almost argue he doesn't really want to engage. Since his opponent invested in the Thors, they are small, slow, oh, not small, they're huge. They're slow walkers. They're more defense-oriented. So I would say EGLzGamer's best option here is to continue expanding behind his tank line and play the macro game, and all the meanwhile try to harass with these Hellions. So it's exactly what he's trying to do here. He will not be able to get too many Hellion kills or SCV kills as his Hellions get surrounded, but I think EGLzGamer's best strategy is to play defensive, macro up, and Tarson's best strategy, because he invested in the Thors, maybe make some kind of a push in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and we do have EGLzGamer switching over to battle cruisers, or cattle bruisers as I like to call them. 2 cattle bruisers coming up. He actually used the supply on those Hellions to free up the supply for that nice Air Force, and that's kind of interesting. He is not researching any... Okay, there we go. There's an armory coming up now, so he is going to go to some upgrades for the air. Finally, weapons level 1 for the ships coming up, and we have a little bit of a standoff as both players play for positioning. Looks like neither player wants to be the aggressor in this circumstance.
You know what I'm a big fan of in TVT that TLO loves to use? The nuclear missile.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I mean, when you're facing off this kind of trench line and the tanks are immovable, a nuclear missile could just force your opponent to completely reposition his forces and fall back, and it allows you to gain more territory as you slowly nuke further and further. We don't see that too often, but I just thought I'd point out my
you're absolutely right. Late game positioning wars are really, really ridiculous in TVT. Look at this, 3 more command centers coming up now for Tarson.
Yeah.
At the same time, utilizing his supply. EGLzGamer not really preparing himself for the late game here. There we go, now putting up another command center. But you have a situation where, we'll talk about that in a second, as EGLzGamer's just going to try and make his way through. He's using these Vikings as a little bit of a shield, and he's just cranking through everything with his Banshees, doing quite a bit of damage, and realistically, Tarson doesn't have a response to this quite yet. He himself, though, is putting up a fusion core of his own.
Yeah, he's going to try to get up some battlecruisers of his own. Both players here realizing that the battlecruiser is the ultimate weapon of war and is kind of nice to have. In Terran versus Terran, just a big flying Thor essentially is what it is. It's a good meat shield and it does a lot of damage. Looks like we may have a Viking and Viking engaged, but there are Thors on the ground below. Oh, whoa. Those Thors almost got their shots off. They were just moments away. EGLzGamer has to do this right, and he's going to take some damage from the Thors. Very, very serious situation there because those Vikings were all clumped up and they could have all gone down in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if he's... I don't think he's trying to willingly free up supply, but I don't think he cares as much because he has so many resources banked and he has an excess supply. He's just going to go right into a bunch of battlecruisers on top of that. So swinging around those Hellions, as long as Tarson isn't being the aggressor, he's just going to try and tech up to battlecruisers the entire time. But look at this! Tarson freeing up supply as well, willingly sacking some of his Hellions and putting up 4 battlecruisers of his own. We're going to have quite the Air Force here.
Yeah, both players here just sacrificing Hellions, trying to do what damage they can, but realizing that they are not going to be important in the battle ahead. So I like what EGLzGamer and both Tarson are doing. They're just throwing Hellions away and freeing up space for the mighty... What did you call it? The Cattle Bruiser?
The Cattle Bruiser.
The Cattle Bruiser.
There are 5 Cattle Bruisers under construction.
And we have the Yamato Cannon on the way for Tarson. And Yamato Cannon is actually a really, really important upgrade for BCs.
I've never understood why they just call it Yamato Cannon. Why?
I don't, you know, I was casting a game last night for my YouTube channel, and it had, like, weapons refit, and I was like, wait, what in the world is weapons refit? And I kept looking around, I was like, the Fusion Core is researching weapons refit. That's the Yamato Cannon upgrade. Yep. The reason why I think Blizzard used to have 2 different upgrades for BC, and they just forgot to fix it. Maybe one day they will. It looks like Hellions are harassing the mineral line there, and I think they were able to get a couple of kills.
Yep, but both these players are really still max, and both players going over to mass orbital commands as well. When you get into late game TVT, you just free up your supply by sacking SCVs, and then just going over to straight Mule from there on out. And once again, Tarson just trying to do what damage he can, continuing to free up supply, still producing 3 Cattle Bruisers at a time. Looks like, how many do we have on the field right now? Both players have 4 apiece.
Yeah.
There is a significant upgrade advantage, though, for EGLzGamer.
Yeah, but at the same time, Tarson is going to have that Yamato Cannon upgrade along with the energy upgrade as well. And I don't care which way you swing it. You can have 3-3 battlecruisers against Yamato Cannon powered battlecruisers, and the Yamato Cannon cruisers will win every single time. Each shot does 150 damage. So I really think EGLzGamer should think about getting the Yamato Cannon himself. I would love to see him invest into more orbitals as well. He should be throwing down 4 or 5 orbitals right now because Tarson's already ahead on that department. Tons of orbitals, tons of mules for the late game.
Yep, and EGLzGamer has a ton of resources he's just not allocating right now. He has the supply as well. He could drop down a couple more battlecruisers if he wanted to. He's just not. And
yeah,
there we go.
There's 2 right there.
There, finally
there's
we
3.
have more battlecruisers coming up. There we go. So he is going to utilize some of that supply. We do have 2-2 coming up for Tarson as well, but like you mentioned, he's got Yamato Cannon, and the longer this engagement doesn't happen, he's going to have all those prepared, and those the counter battlecruisers are just going to die instantly once he gets off a few Yamato Cannons.
Yeah, well, EGLzGamer now is researching Yamato Cannon for his BCs as well, so he's catching up in that regard. It looks like LZ is going to engage, but I still don't know why he hasn't thrown down extra command centers, because I don't know if he'll be able to re-macro after this big battle. Yamato Cannons firing off from the battlecruisers. taking out a couple of BCs from EGLzGamer as he realizes he needs to fall back and he needs to wait for his own Yamato cannon upgrade. Tarson, though, not opting to push here. I feel like he had a great opportunity to continue pushing, but decides to stay conservative and just play defensive.
Yep, he's just finishing up his own battle cruisers. He's going to remax himself here in just a second. There we go. Behemoth Reactor now coming up for EGLzGamer. So he's going to try and match his opponent in tech, and he is going to 3-3 upgrades as well. And of course, 3-3 battle cruisers are a sight to behold. They will rip through anything and everything. EGLzGamer now going ahead and healing back up his battle cruiser force, but he did lose. I don't know if it was 1 or if it was 2, but it was a pretty significant amount of resources that were sunk into those battle cruisers. And here we go. It looks like we're just going to have a big old-fashioned battle cruiser engagement momentarily.
Yeah, and in the meantime, on the side, Tarson has found a little opening for his tanks here, or going to be able to shell the planetary. Meanwhile, LZ really only just wants this for gas resources. Doesn't care too much about the minerals, as he's got a good 6,000 to 7,000 banked up. Just wants gas so he can build more BCs, and he will replace that orbital or that command center really quickly and take out these tanks. But you're right, Pats. We're going to see a big BC on BC engagement. In fact, here we are. Huge engagement on the way. Battle cruisers firing Yamato cannons at each other. It looks like Tarson may have more BCs than his opponent, but EGLzGamer has more Vikings. These Vikings need to be careful because the Thor will do splash damage in the air, and what a huge engagement.
Oh my god, and EGLzGamer only has 3 battle cruisers remaining against the now 4 now of Tarson, but Tarson was getting in there with those Thors and doing so much damage. Now just 1 battle cruiser remaining, and I don't care how upgraded it is. There, now Tarson just finishes up 2-2 as well, so he is evenly upgraded. He's producing 4 Thors and 5 battle cruisers at a time. Not often you see that many incredibly large tier 3 forces coming at it, at each other right away, but oh my god, what a great engagement for Tarson.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why EGLzGamer is running away with his Vikings here. Vikings can outrange the BC if you micro them properly, and EGLzGamer does have a lot of Vikings still in from that last battle. I'm surprised he didn't decide to snipe those BCs off because he surely could have done it. Meanwhile, though, he's moving across the map with his tanks, and I'm not quite sure what he's doing here. These tanks are going to get caught off guard, and they probably will end up trading with each other, but really for no damage whatsoever. And Tarson here is looking pretty good after that engagement, man. He's resizing his BC force with 5 more on the way.
Yep, absolutely. We do have a planetary fortress about to pop up here at the I guess what, 6 o'clock position, the 6 o'clock 3 bases that are down there.
5:45.
Tarson is going ahead and healing up his planetary fortress, moves in behind the tanks with his battle cruisers, and he does take those out, saving that planetary fortress and allowing his little guardian to sit in place. But Tarson is at a considerable lead. Units tab suggests that he has 9 battle cruisers to his opponent's 3. He himself is getting 3-3 upgrades and producing another 5 battle cruisers. Tarson is going to have 14 battle cruisers and 4 Thors on the field at once.
Yeah, and EGLzGamer here, rather than combating this with his own battle cruisers, has decided to shift the focus into purely Vikings right now. If we look on the units tab, he has 17 Vikings on the field, so he's going to try to outmaneuver his opponent's slow battle cruisers with the fast and agile Vikings. But the problem is his opponent's Thors. What is he going to do to deal with all these Thors on the ground? You know, I would argue using the Thor's 250mm cannon would be an absolutely beautiful way to stun the Thor and take it out of the battle while he's able to snipe the battle cruisers out, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get that upgrade up in time.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty rough. I mean, especially as many battle cruisers as Tarson has, as many times he'll be able to drop down Yamato cannons. This could be very bad for EGLzGamer. EGLzGamer is losing quite a bit here. He's trying to do whatever he can with all of these Vikings, but like you said, those Thors are getting in there, splash damaging and dealing with all of the Vikings themselves, and Tarson is just crushing through this force. I don't think there's anything EGLzGamer can do to come back against this. He is going to get obliterated.
Well, both players are trading quite a bit of army here, but you're right, EGLzGamer is going to be on the short stick of that engagement, and Tarson is going to win this game. What an awesome battlecruiser versus battlecruiser battle, and that is why I love Terran versus Terran. I want to make a t-shirt that says I heart TBT.
There you go. Wow, that was absurd. Just look at the unit composition at the end. Yeah, there were 3 Hellions still sticking around for EGLzGamer, but it was purely Thor, Viking, and battlecruiser. What an absurd composition of units, but what an exciting match it made.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that was Tarson versus EGLzGamer Game 2. This is a best of 5 series. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have Game 3 coming up right after this.